New ammo. U.S. donates deadly stealth cruiser to Philippines for WPS deployment. A Philippine lawmaker has appealed to the United States to show its commitment to Manila's defense by donating one of its guided missile cruisers that is set to be decommissioned next year. Observers are divided on whether Washington would grant the request, with some questioning the viability of acquiring an outdated vessel requiring regular maintenance. Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, representing Cagayan de Oro's 2nd District in the southern Philippines, told reporters on Wednesday he had sent a letter to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin III, and Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Kay Carlson, asking them to consider donating the USS Philippine Sea, CG-58. Rodriguez said, "I am sure that it will be a big asset in our efforts to defend our territorial waters, our sovereign rights, and our personnel and fishermen from intruders." The Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, the second of the U.S. Navy ships named after the Battle of the Philippines during World War II, was commissioned in 1989. In previous pronouncements, the U.S. has repeatedly reaffirmed its commitment to defend the Philippines, including referring to the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, which calls on both sides to help each other in times of external aggression. In 2022, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, who visited Palawan, an island in the Philippines facing the South China Sea, said Washington had a profound stake in the future of the region and stood ready to support the Philippines. In May last year, U.S. President Joe Biden reassured his Philippine counterpart Ferdinand Marcos Jr. that Washington's commitment to defending its Southeast Asian ally remained ironclad. While the exact date of the request to U.S. officials was not disclosed, Rodriguez's appeal came after the latest confrontation between Philippine and Chinese vessels in the South China Sea. Last Friday, a Chinese maritime militia ship was reported to have deliberately sideswiped BRP Datu Cabello, a civilian vessel of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, while conducting routine patrol around Thitu Island, referred to as Pagasa Island by Filipinos and Zhongya Dao by the Chinese. Manila has accused Chinese vessels of employing aggressive tactics against Philippine ships in the South China Sea, such as firing water cannons and using high-intensity lasers. Joshua Espina, a resident fellow and vice president of the International Development and Security Cooperation, told This Week in Asia that if Washington were to grant the request, it would be its first for a cruiser equipped with comprehensive combat capabilities. Cruisers, in general, are good for blue water capabilities given their large tonnage and size. In other words, one that is employed for power projection. For firepower, this Ticonderoga-class cruiser hosts clams for multi-domain threats, and such were used in various regional emergencies in the Middle East against ISIS and Hezbollah land targets, Espina said. Clams, or Tomahawk land attack missiles, are long-range and subsonic cruise missiles that can strike land-based targets. With its ballistic missile defense interceptors, the cruiser's firepower is comparable to that of the U.S. Typhoon missile system, according to Espina. They differ little in their anti-ship capability, in that they can both fire TLAM munitions from their vertical launching systems. Tactically, of course, cruisers are movable compared to Typhoon, whose platform is geared almost like crate trucks, he said. It's uncertain whether acquiring aging cruisers is practical. The pro is the immediate addition to the Philippine Navy's force, covering the South China Sea. The con, however, will be maintenance costs, Espina said. The potential acquisition of the USS Philippine Sea, CG-58, marks a significant and symbolic gesture in the growing strategic alignment between the Philippines and the United States. Congressman Rufus Rodriguez's request reflects not only a desire for enhanced maritime defense but also a call for Washington to show tangible support amid the escalating tensions in the South China Sea. The USS Philippine Sea, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, was designed for multi-role combat missions. Equipped with the Aegis combat system and capable of launching Tomahawk cruise missiles, the ship brings considerable firepower and command and control capabilities. For the Philippines, whose navy is composed primarily of smaller, lightly armed vessels, such an asset would drastically improve its ability to patrol, deter, and respond to maritime threats. Experts and naval observers, however, have raised concerns regarding the feasibility of transferring such a complex and maintenance-intensive platform. The Ticonderoga-class cruisers were built in the 1980s and early 1990s, and while they remain powerful, they are nearing the end of their operational lives in the U.S. Navy. Maintenance, especially for high-end systems like the Spy-1 radar and missile launchers, would pose significant logistical and financial challenges for the Philippine Navy, which lacks the extensive infrastructure needed to service large warships. Despite these issues, security analysts argue that even a limited deployment capability could provide a psychological boost and a political statement. The mere presence of a cruiser bearing the name Philippine Sea in contested waters would send a strong signal not only to China but also to regional allies, said maritime expert Chester Cabalza, founder of the Manila-based International Development and Security Cooperation think tank. It serves both a strategic and symbolic purpose. This request also comes at a time when U.S.-Philippine defense cooperation is at a high point. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, has been expanded, allowing American troops rotational access to 9 Philippine military bases. Joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea have resumed, and large-scale military exercises such as Balikatan are drawing increasing attention from international observers. In addition, the broader geopolitical landscape is shifting, with China intensifying its claims over the South China Sea through the use of maritime militia, Coast Guard vessels, and sweeping territorial maps. Regional states are seeking stronger partnerships to counterbalance Beijing's pressure. The Philippines, under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has taken a more assertive stance in defending maritime entitlements and deepening its security ties with the U.S., Japan, and Australia. In Washington, the proposal to donate a cruiser like the USS Philippine Sea could be seen as a low-cost method of reaffirming America's commitment to its allies. The U.S. is already in the process of retiring several Ticonderoga-class cruisers as it shifts resources to newer classes like the DDG, X, and Constellation-class frigates. Transferring one of these vessels, rather than scrapping it, could strengthen regional deterrence while avoiding additional U.S. maintenance costs. Still, it's unclear whether the U.S. Congress and Pentagon will support the donation. Past military aid to the Philippines has typically consisted of smaller, second-hand assets, such as Coast Guard cutters and troop transport vessels. A cruiser would be a first and would likely require a broader agreement on operational support, training, and funding for upkeep. Filipino officials argue that with proper U.S. support, the maintenance burden could be mitigated. Congressman Rodriguez proposed that the U.S. include a support package for training and spare parts along with the ship, potentially through Foreign Military Financing, FMF, or the Excess Defense Articles, EDA, program. While negotiations or decisions regarding the cruiser have not been confirmed by either side, the growing military engagements between the two nations suggest the idea may gain traction. In the face of increasing maritime incidents, the Philippines is making it clear it will not remain passive, and it is calling on its allies to step up, not just with words, but with real hardware and actionable support. The proposal for the USS Philippine Sea may just be the first of many ambitious moves as Manila redefines its maritime defense posture in a rapidly evolving Indo-Pacific region.